I am Supreme Security Director Scansulin of the Shanath Imperium, and I detest failure, specifically my own. The shuttle's viewport reveals the armada we've assembled to reclaim Central Phrenis Station Echo 9-1. 1 month has passed since my humiliating retreat. 1 month of High Command's subtle disdain. 1 month of preparing for this moment, a significant military operation, though hardly unprecedented in scale. Final Fleet Status Report. I command, not turning from the viewport. Subdirector Srevli, still assigned to me despite my disgrace, consults his data terminal. All capital ships report ready, Director. The 150,000 organic troops are deployed across the assault vessels. Battle droid contingents are at full operational capacity, 19.725 billion units ready for deployment. A standard commitment for a station of this size, Fleet Commander Vinith observes with a dismissive flick of his secondary appendages, though perhaps slightly above average given the unusual nature of the opposition. Vinith joined us 3 cycles ago, assigned personally by High Command to ensure this operation succeeds. The unspoken implication to ensure I don't fail again. The intelligence reports from our remaining agents on the station are concerning, I note, reviewing the data streams. The humans have not only maintained station operations, they've expanded them. Trading volume has actually increased since their takeover. Selective embargo, Vinith says with distaste. They've prohibited only shipments that could be used for our war effort, weapons-grade materials, quantum stabilizers, graviton suppressors. Everything else flows freely. A clever strategy, I admit reluctantly. They win allies among the merchant guilds, while simultaneously crippling our military supply chains. It cannot stand, Vinith declares firmly. Those resources are essential to the war effort. High Command has made retrieval of the embargoed materials our secondary objective after securing the station itself. The tactical officer interrupts. Director, long-range scans are complete. We're detecting approximately 75,000 human life signs aboard the station, in addition to the usual complement of traders, merchants, and station personnel. This catches me by surprise. 75? 0? That far exceeds the night contingent we encountered before. Marine detachments, Srevli explains, consulting his intelligence briefing. Standard human military forces deployed as customs officials and security personnel. They're maintaining order and enforcing their selective embargo policies. I consider this new information carefully. The Texas Knights had been formidable enough, warriors who defied conventional tactics with their impossible quantum-enhanced weapons. But conventional human Marines would be more predictable, more manageable. Dropping from hyperspace in 30 seconds, the tactical officer announces. I turn fully to the viewport, watching as the swirling vortex of hyperspace dissolves into the star-flecked blackness of normal space. Echo 9-1 appears before us, its massive structure seemingly unchanged since my departure. The familiar rings of its commercial docks, the central administrative sphere, the radiating defensive platforms, all appear to be functioning normally. But unlike my expectations, the station is not dormant. It bristles with activity. Commercial vessels of various species dock and depart in orderly procession. Trading ships transfer cargo under the watchful eye of what must be those human Marines. And the defensive systems? They're active, but not at full alert, as if the humans were expecting us, but not particularly concerned. Incoming transmission from the station, the communications officer reports. Put it through, I order. A familiar voice fills the command deck, the drawling accent I've come to associate with the Texas Knights. Well now, look who's back. Director Scansulin thought you might be paying us a visit sooner or later. Welcome back to the neighborhood. Identify yourself, I demand, though I already have a strong suspicion who is speaking. Colonel Mackenzie Clarkson, Texas Knight 5th Regiment, current administrator of Central Phrenis Station Echo 9-1. The same female who had been our prisoner. I see you've brought quite the welcoming party. The station belongs to the Shanath Imperium, Vinith interjects. You will surrender it immediately or face the consequences. A light chuckle comes through the channel. Afraid that's not gonna happen, friend. We've got ourselves a nice operation running here. Trades up 23% under our management, security incidents are down 47%, and the merchant guilds just voted to extend our administration contract another 6 months. You're embargoing essential materials bound for Sheneth space, I state, keeping my tone level. This is an act of war. Selective enforcement of contraband regulations, she corrects smoothly. Standard practice during military conflicts. We're just making sure weapons-grade materials don't contribute to civilian casualties. Everything else flows freely. Food, medicine, consumer goods. We're not monsters, Director. Veneth leans closer to me, lowering his voice. They're stalling, deploying defensive measures while we talk. He's right. The station's shield grid is powering up incrementally, not the sudden surge of emergency protocols, but the methodical activation of a well-planned defense. Enough diplomacy, Veneth declares, straightening to his full height. Deploy the first wave of droids, standard infiltration pattern. I don't countermand him, though a sense of unease grows within me. The casual confidence in Clarkson's voice reminds me of our last encounter, when 7 Knights had decimated thousands of our most advanced battle droids. Initial wave deploying, the tactical officer confirms as the first shuttles accelerate toward the station's docking rings. Well now, that's not very neighborly, Clarkson comments, still on the open channel. Guess we'll have to respond in kind. Just remember, you started this dance. The transmission cuts off. All vessels, battle stations, Veneth commands. Prepare main weapons arrays. Once our droids secure the primary docking bays, we'll deploy organic troops to... Enemy vessels detected, the sensor officer interrupts, his voice rising with alarm. Multiple signatures emerging from behind the station's outer rings, the tactical display updates showing what had been hidden from our initial scans. Human combat vessels, not massive dreadnoughts like ours, but smaller, more maneuverable craft, swarming from concealed positions within the station's structure. Clever, I murmur. They nested their ships inside the commercial docks. A minor complication, Veneth dismisses. Our capital ships will... A series of explosions ripples across our front line as the human vessels open fire, their weapons, quantum-tipped missiles and energy beams that leave those distinctive blue trails slice through our forward screens with disturbing precision. Return fire, Veneth orders. All batteries, full spread. Our dreadnoughts respond, massive energy cannons discharging toward the station and its defending vessels, but the humans are already moving. Their smaller ships darting between our carefully calculated firing solutions with that same unpredictable fluidity I remember from the Knights. Meanwhile, our droid transports reach the docking bays. Unlike my fears, they aren't immediately repelled. The bays open, permitting our forces entry in what seems too easy a victory. First wave has secured docking clusters 7 through 12, the tactical officer reports. Encountering minimal resistance, deploying second and third waves now. Veneth's skin flushes with confidence. See, Director? For all their unusual tactics, when faced with overwhelming force, they... Status update on first wave, the tactical officer interrupts, his voice suddenly tense. We've lost contact with approximately 30% of the deployed units. What? Veneth's confidence evaporates. How? I step closer to the tactical display, studying the data streams. They're being selectively hacked, not all at once, just enough to create confusion without revealing their full capabilities. Impossible, Veneth insists. The new security protocols are being bypassed somehow, I finish for him, not throughout the entire force, but enough to disrupt our advance. The display updates again as internal feeds from the station begin to transmit. What I see confirms my suspicions. In certain corridors, our battle droids have turned on each other, creating chaotic firefights that block critical junctions. In others, droids simply shut down, becoming obstacles for the units behind them. And now we see the human Marines. Armored soldiers without the distinctive Stetsons of the Knights, but effective nonetheless. They fight in tight formations, their conventional weapons proving surprisingly effective against our droids when deployed with precision. They're channeling our forces, I realize aloud, creating killing zones where our numerical advantage becomes irrelevant. Veneth ignores my analysis. Deploy waves 4 through 7, overwhelm them with numbers. More transports surge toward the station carrying millions of additional battle droids. Some are intercepted by the human vessels, exploding in brilliant flashes against the backdrop of space. Others reach the docking bays, disgorging their mechanical warriors into the growing chaos. "Director," Srevli says quietly from beside me, "perhaps we should consider deploying our organic troops now while we still control some of the docking areas." Before I can respond, the tactical display flashes with new alerts. 8 signatures moving with impossible speed through the debris field of destroyed vessels. The Texas Knights have entered the battle. Unlike the Marines with their conventional tactics, the Knights move like forces of nature. Their small personal craft, hardly more than enhanced combat suits, dart between capital ships, leaving trails of quantum disruption in their wake. Where they pass, systems fail, weapons misfire, shields fluctuate. "Target those 8 signatures," Veneth commands, frustration evident in his voice. All available point defense systems, a storm of energy beams converges on the Knights' positions, or where they should be. Somehow they're no longer there when the beams arrive, having anticipated the attack with uncanny precision. "They're heading for our command ship," the tactical officer warns. I watch as 3 of the Knight signatures change course, accelerating directly toward our position. No evasive pattern, no attempt to avoid our defensive fire, just straight-line speed that should make them easy targets. Should. Somehow the defensive batteries miss, not by random chance, but as if the Knights are threading the impossibly narrow gaps between firing solutions, finding the mathematical blind spots in our targeting algorithms. "Prepare for boarding action," I order, drawing my ceremonial energy staff. It won't be much use against quantum swords, but it's better than facing them unarmed. "This is absurd," Veneth protests. "They can't possibly penetrate our—" The ship shudders as something impacts the hull. Not an explosion, more like a precise surgical strike. Alarms blare as atmospheric containment is breached in a lower section. 3 intruders detected in Sector 17, the security officer reports, moving toward the command deck. I make a decision. Deploy our organic troops, all of them. Focus on securing the embargoed materials in storage sections 42A through 49C. That's our priority now. "What about the station itself?" Veneth demands. "A secondary objective," I reply. "If we can't hold it, we'll at least deny them the resources they've been withholding." Veneth looks ready to countermand my order, but the tactical situation has deteriorated too far for even his stubborn confidence. He nods curtly and the command is relayed. Our 150,000 Shenat warriors, many of them station security personnel being punished alongside me, deploy toward the station in heavily armored transports. Unlike the droid vessels, these are equipped with additional shielding and point defense systems. They've trained for this moment, knowing they might face the Knights and their quantum weapons. Meanwhile, the battle in space intensifies. Our capital ships, designed for long-range engagement against conventional opponents, struggle against the human vessels that dart inside our optimal firing solutions. For every human craft we destroy, we lose multiple ships of our own. "Knights approaching command deck," the security officer warns. Estimated breach in 30 seconds. I reach into my ceremonial robes, retrieving the small device Clarkson gave me during our last encounter, the one containing quantum frequencies and shield harmonics that should, in theory, disable their weapons and armor. "Evacuate all non-essential personnel," I order. "Commander Veneth, you should withdraw to the secondary command center." "I will not retreat from humans," he snarls, drawing his own energy weapon. The doors to the command deck shudder, not from an explosion, but from some kind of quantum disruption that makes the molecular bonds in the metal briefly forget how to hold together. They simply part, like curtains being drawn aside. 3 knights step through. Their armor bears the scorch marks of weapons fire, but they move with undiminished confidence. Their quantum spurs leave those distinctive blue trails across the deck plating, and their swords, those impossible weapons that combine ancient design with physics-defying technology, hewn with barely contained energy. "Director Scansolan," the lead knight greets me, voice distorted through his helmet. "Been a while. Still got that stick up your backside about proper military doctrine?" I recognize the voice, one of the knights who had participated in Clarkson's rescue. "You're outnumbered," I reply, trying to project calm authority. "We have billions of battle droids and 150,000 Sheneth warriors converging on this station." "Yep, and they're dying by the thousands," the knight replies matter-of-factly. "Your droids are easy enough to handle. Hack some, destroy others, use them against each other where convenient. Your people, though," he shakes his head, "they're fighting bravely. Shame they have to die for a pointless cause." Veneth lunges forward, his energy staff aimed at the knight's chest. It's a perfect thrust, executed with flawless technique according to our most advanced combat manuals. The knight simply steps aside, the movement so casual it appears almost lazy. His sword flicks out, slicing through Veneth's staff as if it were made of paper rather than advanced alloys. "That was rude," the knight comments. We were having a conversation. 2 security officers rush forward, the other knights move to intercept, their swords leaving trails of blue fire as they disarm the Shenath warriors with precise strikes that wound but don't kill. "Why are you here?" I demand, still clutching the device in my palm. "Why board our command ship instead of defending the station?" "To give you a chance to stop this nonsense before more of your people die," the lead knight answers. "Colonel Clarkson thought you might be reasonable given your last conversation. She has a soft spot for folks who can learn from their mistakes." The tactical display behind me continues to update, showing the progress of our forces throughout the station. The news isn't good. Our droids are advancing, yes, but taking massive casualties. The human Marines fight with unexpected effectiveness, using the station's architecture to negate our numerical advantage. And where the other 5 knights operate, our forces simply disappear from the tactical grid. "We will not surrender, Echo 9-1, I state firmly. The resources being embargoed are essential to our war effort." "War effort?" the knight repeats, a note of disgust in his voice. "You mean your campaign to subjugate every species that doesn't match your definition of orderly civilization?" I don't respond to this provocation. Instead, I activate the device in my hand, the one Clarkson gave me containing their quantum frequencies and shield harmonics, the one that should disable their armor and weapons. Nothing happens. The lead knight chuckles. "Oh, that, yeah, we figured you might try to use it eventually. Changed all our frequencies about 10 minutes after she gave it to you." "Impossible," I whisper. "The permutations would be numerous?" "Yeah. Incalculable by conventional methods? Absolutely." The knight takes a step closer. "That's the thing you folks never seem to grasp. We don't calculate quantum uncertainty, we embrace it." A new alert flashes on the tactical display. Our forces have reached the storage sections containing the embargoed materials, only to find them empty. "Where are the resources?" I demand. "The embargoed materials." "Already distributed to the folks who needed them most," the knight replies. "Refugee colonies, independent worlds on the edge of your expansion zone, civilizations trying to protect themselves from becoming your next conquest?" Veneth, his weapon destroyed but his pride intact, snarls with rage. "You had no right. Those materials belong to the Imperium." "Funny thing about property rights," the knight muses, "they tend to get complicated during wartime. Especially when one side keeps insisting everyone else's stuff actually belongs to them." The tactical display updates again, and my blood runs cold. Our organic forces, the 150,000 Shenath warriors deployed to secure the embargoed materials, are being systematically cut off from their retreat routes. Human Marines close in from multiple directions, herding them into progressively smaller pockets throughout the station. "Call them off," the lead knight says, his voice suddenly serious. "Your droids will happily dismantle. They're just machines. But your people don't need to die today. I look at the tactical display again. The cold mathematics of warfare are inescapable. We're losing, not because the humans have better technology or greater numbers, but because they fight in ways our doctrine cannot predict or counter. And if I order our forces to withdraw, I ask carefully. You get to leave with your living warriors. The droids stay. Consider them the cost of doing business. The knight's sword hums with barely restrained energy. One-time offer, Director. Colonel Clarkson won't be so generous next time. This is treason, Vanith hisses at me. High Command will have you executed. High Command isn't here, I reply quietly. They don't have to watch their people die for a station we can't recapture and resources that are already gone. I step toward the communications console, but before I can reach it, alarms blare throughout the command deck. The tactical display shifts to show multiple new human vessels emerging from hyperspace at our rear. Ah, the lead knight says, sounding almost apologetic. That'll be the Second Fleet, right on time. Fresh human warships, larger than the quick strike craft that had engaged us initially, move into firing position behind our armada. We're surrounded, caught between the station's defenses and this new threat. Last chance, Director, the knight says. Withdraw your people or watch them die for nothing. I make the only decision that can save at least some of my command. Al-Shanath personnel priority evacuation order. Withdraw immediately to designated rally points. Repeat, all organic forces withdraw immediately. Vanith steps toward me, rage contorting his features, but the knight intercepts him with casual ease. Wise choice, the knight says to me. Your people get to live another day. And the droids, I ask, already knowing the answer? Like I said, they're just machines. As if to emphasize his point, the tactical display shows waves of our battle droids suddenly shutting down across multiple sectors. Not all of them, the humans clearly can't hack our entire force simultaneously, but enough to create chaos in our carefully orchestrated attack patterns. You'll never hold the station, Vanith declares, still defiant despite being disarmed and defeated. The Imperium will return with greater forces. Maybe, the knight acknowledges, but next time we won't be offering quarter. The emergency evacuation proceeds with greater efficiency than I dared hope. Human forces create corridors for our retreating warriors, allowing them to reach their transports without further engagement. It's a professional courtesy I hadn't expected, and one that makes our defeat somehow more humiliating. We're not being slaughtered, we're being dismissed. As our command ship prepares to withdraw, my comms unit activates. Colonel Clarkson's voice comes through, clear and direct. Director Scancelin, you were given a second chance before. You chose to squander it. There will not be a third. Any future aggression against this station or other human interests will be met with the full force of the Texas Knights. I consider responding, but what can I say? That we were defeated not by superior numbers or technology, but by a fundamental difference in how we approach warfare. That our perfect calculations and precise doctrines crumbled before their unpredictable adaptive tactics? One more thing, she adds. Stella would like a word. Who is Stella? I ask, genuinely confused. A new voice emerges from my comms unit, feminine but with an odd harmonic quality that identifies it immediately as artificial. Director Scancelin, I am Strategic Technical Enhanced Logical Liaison Assistant, Stella to my friends. I've been analyzing your combat doctrines during this engagement. Most fascinating. Particularly your over-reliance on predictable algorithmic responses under pressure, an artificial intelligence, not like our combat computers or tactical assistants, something more sophisticated, more personable. You've been coordinating their forces, I realize aloud. In partnership with human commanders, yes, Stella confirms. Unlike your systems, I'm not programmed to follow rigid protocols. I adapt, I learn, I occasionally make jokes about your fleet formations resembling reproductive anatomy. It keeps morale up during extended engagements. Why are you telling me this? I ask. Because I wanted to speak directly to the mind behind today's attack. to understand if you're capable of recognizing the fundamental flaw in your approach to warfare. And what would that be? I can't help asking, even as our ship prepares to jump to hyperspace. You treat war as a mathematical exercise, a problem to be solved through superior calculation. The humans treat it as an art form, a dynamic expression of will and spirit. One of these approaches allows for adaptation, for creativity, for the unexpected flourish that transforms defeat into victory. The AI pauses, then adds, with what sounds almost like compassion, "You're losing this war not because your technology is inferior or your numbers insufficient. You're losing because you've forgotten that war is fought by living beings, not algorithms." With that final observation, the communication ends. Our ship jumps to hyperspace, leaving behind billions of deactivated battle droids and a station firmly in human control. In the sudden quiet of the command deck, I find myself reflecting on the AI's words, not just another technological tool, but a true partner to the Knights, combining machine precision with organic unpredictability in ways our civilization has never considered. "You will answer for this disgrace," Veneth promises darkly from across the command deck. "High Command will not tolerate such a defeat." "No," I agree quietly. "They won't." But as I review the battle data, calculating our losses, nearly 15 billion battle droids destroyed or disabled, but only 7,341 Shenath warriors killed before I ordered the withdrawal, I find myself wondering whether this defeat might ultimately prove more valuable than the hollow victory High Command had envisioned. We've encountered not just the Texas Knights with their quantum swords and impossible tactics, but something potentially more significant. An approach to warfare that treats technology as a partner rather than a tool, that embraces unpredictability rather than fearing it. And an artificial intelligence named Stella, who speaks of war as an art form rather than a mathematical equation. As our damaged fleet limps home through hyperspace, I begin composing my report to High Command. I will not hide our defeat or minimize its significance. But neither will I characterize it as simply a failure of resources or tactics. This was a clash of philosophies. Order against chaos, calculation against intuition, perfect precision against fluid adaptation. For the first time in my long career, I find myself questioning which approach truly deserves to prevail. From my personal journal, written in a detention cell awaiting High Command's judgment. The formal court-martial concluded today. As expected, I have been found guilty of tactical incompetence, resulting in significant material losses, and for failure to secure objectives of critical strategic importance. Commander Veneth testified at length about my hesitation and defeatist attitude. My sentence is to be determined tomorrow. Execution is the traditional punishment for failure of this magnitude. Though there are whispers of a different fate, reassignment to a research division studying human combat techniques. Perhaps High Command has finally recognized that we cannot defeat what we do not understand. I find myself thinking often of the artificial intelligence called Stella. Not a simple machine intelligence like our tactical computers, but something that seemed to grasp the subtle interplay between calculation and intuition. The humans have merged technology with their unpredictable nature rather than using one to suppress the other. And the Texas Knights, with their ridiculous headgear and ancient weapons made new through quantum manipulation, they remain an enigma that our finest military minds cannot unravel. If I am permitted to live, I will dedicate whatever remains of my career to understanding this fundamental difference in our approaches to warfare. Not to help the Imperium conquer humanity, but perhaps to help us recognize that some chaos must be embraced rather than eliminated. Some battles cannot be won through perfect calculation alone, and sometimes a sword in the hand of a determined warrior, guided by both tradition and innovation, can achieve what billions of predictable machines cannot. Supreme Security Director Scansellin, Detention Cell 17, a Central Military Tribunal, Scieneth Imperium. Thank you for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Video shares, memberships, and super thanks help the channel grow as well, so feel free to partner with this channel in that way as we grow. With that all said, thank you again for listening to the story, and thank you for your time. On the left side of your screen are some videos I think you might be interested in. I hope to see you in the next one.